Thank you. Now to our next story. You know, the last may not have been heard of the embattled, deposed Emir of Kano, Lamido Sanusi, over his reinstatement. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has halted the reinstatement of Muhammadu Sanusi II as Emir of Kano. A three-member panel of justices, led by Justice Okon Abang, unanimously halted the implementation of the January 10 judgment which vacated the nullification of Sanusi's appointment by a Kano State High Court, which held that it was done without jurisdiction. Politicians engaged in a battle of the thrones, if you understand what I mean.
Yes. You know, it's just so unfortunate that two brothers are, fighting over this matter.
Stool, yeah.
You know, and by now I thought we should have put this to bed. And it's unfortunate that even nobody in their family is coming up to say, okay, can you, one of us just step down so that the other person can go, something like that, rather than going to court, to settle, this tussle. It's been lingering for so long, and it's like nobody wants to sheath his sword. Everybody still wants to go. I think it is only the Supreme Court that will decide this matter with the way it's going. Because right now that the appeal court have halted the reinstatement of the emir, the next thing he wants to go to Supreme Court. And these are two fine gentlemen who hold a cult following in Kano.
Yeah.
When they are moving on Friday, you think that even the governor does not even have that kind of crowd. If they are going to pray, the same thing.
Yeah.
So you cannot pick this person and drop the other person. Both of them hold a huge cult following. And I feel that it is only the court that will be able to decide this.
All right.
Because I know Sanusi will want to, take it further for his reinstatement. The Federal High Court has said reinstate. Now the Court of Appeal is
appellate court is saying no.
No. You understand? So I feel both of them can still sit down to agree on something. I don't know how, but because it shouldn't get to the Supreme Court, because that would be a total mess of the whole thing. And just like you said, the Game of Thrones, politicians have infiltrated into their family.
Yeah.
And now
and it's dangerous.
It's, in fact, very, very
dangerous.
So and they just have to find a way around it to see how they can, solve the problem.
But history tells me that it was the General Yakubu Gowon government in his time, when he was here, that gave the first staffs of office to traditional rulers across the land. Yeah. So at that point, government had waded into the traditional institution. So is it an institutional failure that today we are messing with it? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I think...
Like the Alafin stool is an exalted one. Yeah. The Obong of Calabar stool, the Emir of Kano we are talking about. They used to be exalted stools. Yeah. You say the Oba of Benin.
In the past, they were treated like mini goats, and their words were laws. But I think the emergence of the modern state was the first assault on the traditional institutions. Before the emergence of states.
So it was deliberate?
Before the emergence of states, like in the old empires, in Cross River, for instance, before the emergence of Cross River State. I mean, that was the Obong of Calabar. Yeah. Before the Nigerian State in 1917. And its laws, its statements were laws. The same to Toba of Benin, the same to Alafin of Oyo, and all that. But the emergence of the modern state took away that power away from them, to the extent, and they were lucky because...
You mean took away
in terms of
the traditional institution yielded?
They had, well, in some cases, they yielded by force. Like in countries like Syria, Libya, it was by force. In fact, some of them, even in France, they were eliminated. But in this case, there was a kind of mutual understanding. But the state is the de facto, custodian of laws as we speak today.
Okay.
So the traditional rulers are subservient. In fact, they are paid by the state. So in essence, the traditional rulers have lost their powers over, the past 2 centuries. So there's just nothing they can do about that. In the past, they were even in control of the military, of commerce and everything. So we need to realize that, and that is why whatever happens in Kano, it is the decision of the Supreme Court, that will be binding on the 2 parties. May I say that this is personal to me, but I think the MI, I don't know whether to say former MI now, by Bayero, I think he has been conducting himself in a very quiet, princely manner, royal manner, But I think MI Sanusi is an outrovert, is not an introvert like his other cousin. So
No, Sanusi is an extrovert.
It's an extrovert. It's not an introvert, So like I think I would have wished to see a situation where both of them keep away from public view, in terms of utterances, in terms of statements, in terms of what they say, in terms of what they do.
Because whatever they say will be
misconstrued. It might even instigate, the public and all that. So we need to wait for the judgment of the Supreme Court before anybody begins to parade himself.
If the case gets there.
It will definitely get there. It will get there. So we need to wait for that judgment before anybody begins to parade himself as MI of Kano. Because in the whole of North, I think when you are taking the topmost 3 traditional rulers, the MI of Kano is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a very important historical institution, that we cannot joke with.
It's like attempting to mess with the Sultanate in
Sokoto.
Exactly.
So like he said, it's unfortunate they could not. It would have been better for them to resolve it, treat it as a family matter. But we know that it has become increasingly difficult in modern times because of a lot of things that are involved in becoming a traditional ruler. Economic interests, political interests. So it may be difficult for the family to resolve it.
Are you not scandalized that in a 21st century world where the knowledge economy is here, we are not thinking tomorrow today, if you understand me, that politicians would meddle into something that's age-long. We are not talking about something that happened just yesterday.
The one thing about politicians is they don't even care. The politicians of this, whether in Nigeria, outside, they don't even care anymore. Even outside Nigeria, politicians do not care anymore.
So ruffle feathers.
That is it.
It doesn't matter.
Anything that will benefit them and their interests is what they will go after.
No. What would interest? Hold on. What would interest a politician if a throne is causing all the trouble?
To them, it's not causing trouble. To them, is they want that throne so that the throne would be able to speak for their interest. That is what they want.
I don't understand. Maybe because I'm not a politician.
You understand? Yeah. Okay, you don't understand. The thing is, most politicians will always want, because they know the traditional rulers are very close to the people. They know that local government chairmen are close to the people. But the closest are always the traditional rulers. So they would always want the traditional rulers to be very close to. Have you also noticed that even in the constitution, okay, it is the local government chairman that can remove a traditional ruler? Why is it that that particular portion is in the constitution? Why is it that the politician has not removed that part and say, traditional rulers, be on your own? It is because they know that they still have a hold of that traditional institution, and that traditional institution is very close to the people, so they can always use them for whatever they want.
So it pays them to have
them very close to them.
Yeah.
So anytime they want to do anything, if for instance you are the stubborn type as a traditional ruler, they will find a way to remove you and put somebody. There's a way they will bring history that that's where you are sitting. It's not supposed to come from your family.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be another family.
Wale, but I'm sure you remember the antecedents of the likable Lamido, Sanusi Lamido. He spoke to leadership, spoke truth to leadership, and I hear it ruffled feathers.
Yeah, I think that traditional rulers, if all traditional ruler in the country, if all of them begin to speak out against the government, either state governments or federal governments, no matter how honest their intention is,
or influential,
their intention is, I think it will be seen, and I think rightly so, as stepping beyond their bounds, because you are elected as a traditional ruler over everyone in your domain, irrespective of their political leaning. So for you to be taking side and be speaking against a particular power, I think it's not expected of traditional rulers. And I think we must realize the power of the tongue. You need to mind whatever you say.
Yeah.
You can still convey your messages.
But the embattled former emir only said, look, send your female daughters to school, you know, educate them.
You know, he's saying recently that, you know, people have not come to him, that he has a secret about how to turn the country around and all that. And I think...
Of course, you remember he's an economist.
Yeah, that kind of statement is not necessary. If you have any advice, either for the president or for your state governor, put it in writing. We don't even need to know if you have very honest intention. But if there are political motives, that is why you come out to speak openly about a government that is in power. And you know, some traditional rulers have been so wise enough to manage this contradiction. Look at the Oba of Benin. Look at the Obong of Calabar. Even when Basi Ekpo was there, who was the former local government chairman, a radical, a Marxist.
A journalist.
Yes, a journalist. You know, very vibrant, very vocal. He managed his relationship with the state in a very clever manner that you will never suspect, you will never discover, you know, his leaning. So I think, look at the Oba of Benin, look at the Olu of Warri. So in politics, I think traditional rulers should be very careful. They don't need, if you want to put down your garment and then go and contest election, that's a different ball game. Because by the time you are supporting APC and then against PDP, you are already polarizing your constituency. If you have any advice,
you have taken sides.
You have taken sides. So if you have any advice, call them to your bedroom.
A traditional father is not supposed to take sides.
He's not supposed to take sides. You need to moderate the contending interests, you know, as a father, you know, and then ensure that your dignity is sustained and retained. So by the time you begin to dabble into politics, politics will also dabble into your institution. So that's how it's playing out in Kano. I would advise anybody who wins in that, you know, that wins that, so to keep yourself away from politics in order to retain the glory and honor of your ancient stool.
So what more can we add? Safe to say, to our likable Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, we wish you Godspeed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Especially if you intend to take this matter to the apex court. Wish you well. Okay.